Despite what their moms told them, they just aren't talented enough for radio. Unfortunately, anyone can have a show these days. Sean.
Well, I'm pretty hard to figure out sometimes. In fact, I can't even figure myself out sometimes, so don't you try to.
Joe.
You're an idiot and really a disloyal person.
This is the Cuse Militia. Now, those two unapologetically biased orange-blooded homers, Sean and Joe.
It's the most bullshit thing I've seen in 30 years.
Welcome, orange men and ladies. Happy Saturday. This is the Cuse Militia with Sean and Joe. At Cuse Militia on the socials. Go there. Join the militia. We are back. We're going to talk about LaQuint Allen's return to the Syracuse football program and the school. And also some NIL donation news, I guess, to mention quickly. And then we'll just kind of wing Boeheim's Army stuff as the basketball tournament has already started. But we haven't played yet. We will play on Monday night. And many of you will be there, I assume. Right? It's at the War Memorial, so we'll see how it goes. We'll look at Team Gibson the best we can and go from there. But first, let's talk about, and I tweeted this out not too long ago, from inside the Loud House, that the NIL landscape for Syracuse up 54% as far as donations in monetary and like almost doubled in donors, 45 million so far this fiscal year, which is a 54% increase, like I said. And I think there were some 11,396 donors. So that, I mean, look, and then Wild Hack is like, oh, well, thank you, everybody. You know, this is the guy that was not going to play the game. And late to the party as always, SU, but at the party nonetheless, now with NIL. Started a little bit behind trying to play the Shining Knight or Mr. Morality, I don't know which, but, you know, these NIL donations from these bigger schools obviously going to leave people in the dust, but 45 million, Joe, that's got to make you feel good. It's got to be some good positive news on the NIL end for Syracuse. I feel pretty good about it. It mentions in this article by Noons that there's no disclosing, where it's going to be, who's getting paid for what,
allocated,
and this and that,
right.
Allocated. But there is obviously enough money to go around, and that's good. It's extremely good. And once Syracuse gets out of their own way, then you see what happens. Now, this is supposedly nonprofit, but not tax exempt, and I couldn't really decipher whether that meant, obviously, if an athlete's getting paid, they're going to have to pay taxes on it. But if you have to pay taxes on the donation, if it gets taxed twice, that's kind of, well, that's your government for you. But that is, I mean, you're talking huge, significant loss on the bankroll to allocate to the athletes if it's getting taxed twice. Now, obviously, the students aren't nonprofit, but the entity that's collecting the money is, and so that'll be interesting. $45 nonetheless, and I'm pretty happy about it. It's got to give you a little bit of encouragement going forward in this landscape that we're dealing with in regards to NCAA sports these days. So
yeah, I mean, look, we've seen, from the beginning, Wild Hack has talked about, being apprehensive about this, right, and not really. And we spoke about it, and there's a lot of people and fans of Syracuse that have said that we can't be left behind, right, or else we're going to be left behind in the field and everything like that too. So. It is definitely encouraging. The only problem is that you don't really know how much other colleges are getting. But it's encouraging to see. You're talking about over 11,000 donors and 45 million, which is a 54% increase from last year. So obviously something has changed, and I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that just sometimes some things happen, right? Like, I don't know. Maybe the stuff in California, right, where you're allowed to loot a certain amount of stuff from a store, and you're not going to get in trouble, right? But when it happened,
It's amazing how you tied that in. But go ahead.
You had those people when it happened. You had those people that were like, "Oh, well, I'm going to do it. Like, I'm going right for it," And then there was probably the apprehensive people that were like, "Well, they say that, but."
And then once they see no one's going to jail,
trouble, right?
Yeah.
But then when they see actually you have all these teams that are actually getting all these players, and they've gone from the cellar to in the NCAA tournament, like Pittsburgh, and you've seen some of these teams that have used the NIL to basically in 1 year free agency get better and get competitive. Then you get a little bit more confidence in the fact that you can get away with it too. So I think our NCAA sanctions are still super, super close. I mean, we still got a little bit of sores from that wound, I think. So I can understand why Wild Hack was a little apprehensive. But once they saw that it was, people were getting away with it and it really was going down the way that people were saying that it was going down, then I think that on top of the fans seeing all these other teams that are actually putting in NIL money, and then now they got to put their money where their mouth is. So I think it's a combination of both of those things. This is seeing the other teams get away with it and not get in trouble, and then as far as the fans go, seeing that they're going to have to donate if we want to be competitive. Otherwise, we're going to be left behind. So definitely encouraging with a 54% increase.
Yeah, and it definitely makes me feel a little bit better about going forward, and
and being competitive, right?
And being competitive, but I'm a cynic by nature. I've just always been that way, and so I try to be positive, but it didn't start great. And then you had the Adam Weitzman thing, which whatever. I mean, it's one guy. I mean, at the end of the day, it's poorly handled, but it's one guy, and when you pool money together, regardless of who's putting in and how much, it's about how many people you get to do it. And one guy can make a difference, but it's not the end of the world. It just didn't look good at the time, and as always, Syracuse just freaking handled it poorly.
Well, they did, and there's ways that you can make relationships with people and try to figure people out, gain trust and everything, and maybe that's just really what it was. Maybe Syracuse and the university was afraid that okay, we got this guy and yeah, he's doing these things, but if he ends up doing something nefarious that we don't know about and he gets in trouble, then did they fall with him, right? And
they're just trying to separate themselves from it.
Does, right? Not saying that he does. I mean, he could be doing everything clean, but with the new look NIL and being a little bit nervous about getting in trouble again, because it was, like I said, our sanctions were so like not that long ago, right? So
not that long ago.
Yeah, yes. Sorry, but it seems to me like they're trying to get into it, but they're trying to be as clean as possible, right? So just in case something happens, or the NCAA comes down or anything like that, and they have all their ducks in a row, and they won't get any more sanctions.
Transparency is a thing, right? So if you're just transparent about it and you're not doing anything nefarious, which I don't think they would do in regards to former issues, previous issues.
And who knows? Because this is the Cuse Athletics Fund, so they can kind of control that money, right? Because we also talked about, with Adam Weitzman when we were talking about all these recruits and everything. Like, how do we know? As the coaches talking to Adam Weitzman about, these recruits and offer this. I mean, I think that this sets it up as, and hopefully they've had conversations and got him back in the mix, but this sets it up to where he can still donate. He could donate to that fund. It's not going to be his name, his business, his this and that, but there's still a way where he can still put in money and help, the university.
Look. It would not surprise me if he donated to this and we never knew about it. But, he's pretty wide open with what he does. Which kind of, say what you want, garners attention for oneself, right? So would not surprise me though that he's donating to this, and we will never know how much or when or whatever.
Right.
But with that said, $45 million is a lot of money. I don't know where we sit compared to other schools, but I'll take it for now. And down the road, maybe there's some kind of salary cap issue or something like that. But again, that comes with its own problems, and that's a whole nother story. I feel like, it levels the playing field to the point where I think there needs to be a cap, but it levels the playing field to the point where, okay, well, everybody's just maxing out people's salaries, and people are just going to still get the same recruits they were going to get to begin with. And kids are going to less look at the money because they're going to get the same amount of money everywhere, but then be more focused on, what kind of caliber of school they're going to be going to. So to be able to offer more money, and maybe it's tiered, I don't know, but to be able to offer more money to a guy who's going to work out good for us, but maybe a Duke or a UNC doesn't want to pay out that much, to be able to overpay and outbid someone is definitely going to be helpful for schools like Syracuse. I'll just say that. But I mean, how high do you go? You know what I'm saying? So
right.
Anyway, right, exactly. We still don't know.
I mean, when's enough is really what it comes down to. Right?
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, you're going to pay a guy $3 million for 1 year. I mean, that seems ridiculous.
Right. And the thing is there's probably going to be adults that are corrupt or trying to make money off these kids at the college level that will push, and they'll use these kids.
Parents. I mean, let's be honest.
To make them think that they deserve more, right? That's just...
Yeah, hold out. Hey, you're worth X amount of dollars. Don't take this, whatever. Who knows? Who the freak knows? I'm getting 5%, so I'm going to make sure that you get as much as possible.
Right.
So,
just hope you don't ruin kids' careers. I hope just adults and parents don't ruin kids' careers by pushing them to care about. I mean, like I said,
care more about the money.
I mean, think about it, right? Like they always talk about it. Once money gets involved, then the purity of the sport kind of goes away, right? I mean, that's why we love college football and college basketball so much compared to professional. Because, I mean, let's face it. There's professionals that sometimes they don't. Once you get the money, where's the incentive, right? And now it's a business, and it's not. It's more about the money and the business aspect than actually the game and the purity of the sport and playing as a team and trying to win. And
you turn it into the NBA.
That's exactly. That's why I've always loved college over anything, because these kids are playing to become professionals, to be able to get to the pinnacle and make that money, right? But also, some of these kids are playing because they know it's the last time they're going to suit up. Syracuse is going to have players this year that's the last time they're going to play professional football. I mean,
I think the line where the money cap should be in an ideal world, and I could be wrong, but more than the G League, more than overseas, and less than the NBA.
Places overseas.
I know, but you are less likely to lose someone to overseas if they're making decent money and they have a couple of years of eligibility left to where they can work on their game or test the waters and make that jump from the NCAA to the NBA instead of having to settle. If the money's there and it's relative and, it's comparable, then I think that bodes well for college athletics. At this point, those are the things I'm holding on to. And I don't know, I'm sure there's some big money to be made overseas, but I don't know. Who the hell's watching it? We're not. I mean, obviously, but I don't.
Right.
I know it's big over there. I do. I know it's big, but if you're a kid that grew up in this country or even other countries, your eyes are set on the NBA, and it gives you an opportunity to not have to settle leaving college early, where you can work on your game. And I think that is a benefit. So we'll see, but you don't lose kids to the G League that easy anymore. Definitely. So you could land in the G League when you're done, but losing them early to the G League is a different story.
Well, yeah, and that happens a lot too, right? And there's a lot of players that, I mean, there's two different aspects of it. You know, some players, they're like, well, I'm just going to go, and if I'm going to make the NBA, I'm going to make the NBA, but I only have so many years that I can play this game and make money. So if I'm not going to make the NBA, then, I mean, at least I can start my pro career overseas 2 years early, right? And then there's other players that are chasing the money because their family needs it, you know? And I just feel like there should definitely be a point to where you get taken care of, to where you don't have to feel like you're forced, like you said, to go professional and leave school and possibly not get your degree just because of, you know, socioeconomical situations, right?
Right. Okay, so look, the big news of the past couple weeks, or really since we have been here, we did a Twitter Spaces in regards to LaQuint Allen. Well, the court appearance never came because SU and Allen came to an agreement. So he's going to be enrolled in the fall semester. He's going to get to return to the football team, I think, on August 15th. And, you know, there's not a lot of information or what exactly any conversations were, the actual agreement, other than what I just told you. He's going to get enrolled. He's going to get to play. Obviously, the inevitable starting tailback for Syracuse Orange. And Sarah Scales, who is the vice president for Syracuse Communications, said that we've reached a resolution with LaQuint while respecting his privacy throughout this process. She went on, as a part of the agreement, LaQuint will resume his studies in the fall semester and return to football mid-August. Per federal policy laws, Syracuse University will not comment further on this or other student conduct cases. Also, his lawyer did have a statement that just basically said that they're happy to reach a resolution, and LaQuint's very appreciative of the co-athletes in football program for sticking behind him through the issues that he had, or that he had to deal with. But anyway, you know, the Syracuse Tribunal, I don't know how they go about this in the future, but, you know, it seems to me that you would let, some of these things play out in the legal system and the way it had. And again, Syracuse late to the party, should have done this. Don't know what took so long. And I'm sure there's a lot of reasons why that I don't know about. And maybe I'm unfairly being cynical as hell, like always, but I feel like that this could have been done a lot quicker, and I understand why it couldn't be, but, you know, again, totally uncalled for to even have it reach this level. And good for LaQuint Allen for saying, you know what, I'm going to file a freaking lawsuit in the New York State Supreme Court, and I'm going to right this wrong myself, me and my lawyer. If we've got to do it that way, that's how we're going to do it. And good on him for just not throwing his hands up and going into the transfer portal or, you know, anything like that. Or
taking the penalty, right?
Or just taking the unfair penalty. Yeah, or just taking the penalty and sitting on the sidelines. And I guess to that end, you know, that shows his character, man. He's willing to fight. He wants to be here. And I think that there's nothing more dangerous sometimes than an athlete hitting the turf or hitting the court or whatever the case may be with a chip on their shoulder, feeling like they might have something to prove in regards to, you know what, Syracuse did not make a mistake with reinstating me, and all of my teammates did not make mistakes in having my back, and go out there and just kill it. And he's obviously talented enough to do so. What do you have, 95, 94 yards rushing in the bowl game, and he can catch and run, and I mean, it seems like he's got it all. We haven't seen a ton of them, but, you know, he's a shifty dude, and he's got a lot of talent, and I'm just glad that at the end of the day, they righted the wrong, and we're going to get to see him play, and I can't wait to see what he's going to do.
Yeah, dude, same. I'm right there with you. I mean, I know that we did pick up, a junior college running back very, very close to when they announced that he was going to be able to come back. So, on top of Juwan Price coming back with him and with Parkman and Daniels coming in as freshmen, we do have 2 junior college running backs as well. But yeah, no, I look at it even further as far as like what you were saying, like it's almost like he got a second chance at life almost, and I don't want to sound dramatic and,
I could have ruined him. He might not have been able to get to the transfer portal. He was going to be tainted.
Right. And so that right there to me is you go from a situation where that fight happens, you're told you can't play, you don't think you're going to be able to play, your father gets killed, you're dealing with all this, and, for him to be able to turn around and fight for this, like you said. I mean, how many times does and that's what kills me more than anything, is you let this goofball kangaroo court figure some stuff out, and then you just think that the student's just going to take it, right?
Yeah, like it's not even it's not even a real thing.
Why would you not involve your lawyers? Why would you not involve somebody who can sit there before you make this dumb decision and say, wait a minute, like we might want to look at this, and then this. Instead, they get this jury of peers that make this decision in hopes that, it's a private school. You just got to do as we're told. We make the rules and just deal with it, right? Like, and too many people just fold on that stuff, right? Too many people would have just went home or went to the transfer portal or just ate it and not done anything about it. But for him to sue them, then you knew, well, now Syracuse got to get lawyers involved. And it's funny how all of a sudden you want to make all your private stuff public in the court of law by having a lawyer come in and just use example after example of how other players have done worse and gotten less, and then you get exposed. I mean, you don't want to deal with that. And I think at the end of the day, that's what it was.
Syracuse was exposed. That's a good point. Syracuse was exposed regardless. It's just they really lessened the degree of exposure to not bringing this into court, because there's no doubt that skeletons were going to be ripped out of the closet.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
They would have been forced to.
Yeah, and it would have been for everybody to see. It'd be Syracuse in a fishbowl, which was going to be the only good thing to come out of going to court.
Yeah, pretty much. Because at the end of the day, you're happy for LeQuint, but there is some still there's corruption there that didn't get fixed. There's things there that didn't get exposed just because they decided to not go to court. And I just hope that they don't mess with them. You know what I mean? Like, I hope that there's no professors or no people that on the sideline make life hard or more hard than it has to be. Because you know how those type of people, they run in packs and stuff like that, right?
Oh, well, it's
all
a
of
clique.
A sudden he's academically ineligible for the bowl game. You know what I mean? Like that type of crap.
Yeah, well, it's definitely a clique. Obviously, the tribunal was a clique. I don't know how far it stems or anything like that. And I mean, and I'm speculating, honestly, but those things tend to be group thought, right? So like-minded people doing like-minded things, and I don't know if LeQuint had representation during that kangaroo court process. If he
did, but they weren't allowed to ask any questions.
They weren't allowed to do a lot of things, right? So he had professional representation, though. He had a lawyer able to represent him to the school. Or
from what I read, he did, but they really didn't have any.
But they didn't let him do anything because it's not their territory. Basically, this is SU's territory, and this is how we're going to do it. You can have representation because this is America, but we're going to set the rules, and those rules are you can't do shit.
Oh, and by the way, why didn't you go and make this other guy come to court?
Right, no, that was LeQuint's.
Make this guy show up.
Yeah,
right?
that was up to LeQuint to do that. Yeah, he was supposed to contact the guy he got in a fight with and get him to come to court, which is the most absurd, stupid thing, I think.
I mean, think about that in real life. It's ridiculous.
It is real life, and it's still.
No, I'm saying like out in society. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
You get in a fight with somebody. You bust his teeth out, and he gets stitches, and he sues you, and then you have to make sure that he shows up to court. Huh?
Yeah.
That doesn't even make any damn sense.
It doesn't make any sense.
And again, too, maybe not going to court is also hiding this other person. Maybe this person is of high stature or somebody who's got a name And
well, he's got some tenure, that's for sure. What is he?
Well, 23. He's the graduate student, I hope.
Jeez, and obviously trouble. Maybe he's been in trouble, but dude, maybe they're hiding his record. Maybe he's got a freaking record, and if they bring him in there, it's going to look totally ridiculous that this guy didn't get into any trouble at all. Meanwhile, LaQuint Allen's losing everything he's worked for, and he's only 18 years old. So it could very well be this guy obviously is a punk. And I mean, I'm just saying, you don't go around starting fights like that unless, it's your first time drinking or you're just, that's what you do.
And LaQuint's handling it great. You know what I mean? He just wants
to play, dude.
He just wants to play. He could have thrown the school under the bus. He could be, he's out there. I just saw a tweet the other day where he's got his football and cheerleading camp, second annual, which means he did one last year in his hometown in Millville, New Jersey.
Homeville, I like that, actually.
The bottom line is that he's obviously a good kid that's trying to make a good life for himself, and this was just a little hiccup where unfortunately people older than him acted with less logic and less maturity than the 18-year-old in the room. So I'm glad that he's back. Like you said, going back to the bowl game, he had 15 carries for 94 yards. I mean, that's an average of over 6 yards a carry, and he had 11 catches for 60 yards too. Yeah. So we added some different runners. Some guys are going to be able to. Because I don't look at LaQuint as a big goal line, go in there and get the 1 yard type, right? But he's definitely going to be a big thing in the passing game and in the running game for sure.
And if he has the work ethic of Chris Elmore, like Coach Babers said or stated before, I mean, that's a leader on the team too. So.
Oh, yeah, screw the work ethic, man. That dude was Gatorade Player of the Year in New Jersey, right, and he's been busting his ass throughout this whole process. You know what I mean? So at the end of the day, he's been put in a position that a lot of adults would coil up and give up and just blame the world and play victim. And all he's done is fight back and try to do the right things. And I think that that's really, really gonna be a positive thing for his mindset. And I think going into the season, that's just the guy that I know they're bringing Garrett Schrader, Marlo Wax, and Aronde Gatson to the ACC Media Day, but he's definitely going to be a guy to watch out for. And honestly, I think he brings something to the table that Sean Tucker wasn't really great at, as far as being able to catch the ball out of the backfield. So that's going to be a definite extra weapon for Schrader when he's under duress and he's trying to run around and stuff like that. So I'm excited. I'm happy for the guy. And again, like I said, skeletons stay buried, and there's obviously stuff there, right? But it is what it is.
Yeah, it's just, yeah. I think all schools have their problems, but I'm extremely, I've said it before. I bleed orange. I love Syracuse. Grew up in Syracuse. Raised in Syracuse. Love it. Hate the weather. Love the place. Love the hill. Love the atmosphere. Love that place. I was fortunate enough to get to party up there a lot. I had a couple buddies that went to SU, and those are times I'll never forget. I love that place. The school, though, man, you can take that shit. The place sucks. I love everything else about it. And like Joe said last episode, it makes it hard sometimes.
Oh, it's only made it harder the past couple of years, too.
And it's so embarrassing. It
is.
Golly, man. Come on. Jeez.
Yeah, I got people at work that, they see this and they're like, is it because he's black? Is it because he's da-da-da-da? They automatically go to that. That's what it looks like from an outsider looking in, right? What did he do? What did he do? And when you explain it to him, it's like, then why does he have to go home for a year? Why is he suspended, right? People do this all the damn time. And it looks really, really bad. The optics look bad. And, good on LaQuint for standing up, suing, doing what he needed to do. And I hope he has. I think he's going to have an amazing year. But you know what? If he decides to transfer after this year, I'm not going to hate him.
I wouldn't either. I would hate it. But
I would hate it too, but I wouldn't blame him at all.
Yeah. All right, let's head over to Twitter Spaces and talk about some Boeheim's Army. All right, so Noon's Magician came out with a little comparison of the non-conference schedules to 2023 to 2024 before we get into Boeheim's Army stuff. Now there's going to be 3 more games, Joe, for the Maui Invitational. And who's in that? Real quick.
So Chaminade is always in there because they're the team from Hawaii. So, but Gonzaga, Kansas, Marquette, Purdue, UCLA, and Tennessee.
Okay.
They're all like top 15 teams.
Yeah. Well, the non-conference from last year to this year, it looks.
I think it looks harder to me.
It looks harder, but it's really close though. I mean, because you got LSU in here, or you got Oregon, really.
And you got Oregon's the other one that we play in a neutral location in South Dakota. And then obviously you got the Colgate Colgate looming there. So I mean, that's to not lose to Colgate 3 years in a row. So that's the first one I'm circling.
Yeah, right, and exactly. And then I don't know if Ewing, gone is good or better or worse. So Georgetown though not looking exactly Georgetown-esque. Let's just say.
But we've struggled with them in the past.
I know it's like a matchup thing, and it's been a struggle. I think I do like the series. I really do, and I don't know if they're gonna re-up it. And I feel a little bad for Ewing, but man, he just couldn't get it together over there, and he had some decent recruits too during his time. So I don't know, kind of weird. I think the the transfer portal and all that probably got away from him. I mean, let's be honest, got away from us too, right? So, New Hampshire seems like one that, we should be good. Canisius, we should be good. Like you said, Colgate is going to be rough. LSU and Oregon are who they are. Niagara is going to be this year. Cornell and Georgetown are the slated ones. And then we got the 3 other games that are going to be givens from the Maui Invitational. So...
Well, I mean, there's a good thing about it, right? Maui Invitational, November 20th through the 22nd, right there around Thanksgiving, and we get one game every single day. I think that we are a deep team with some talent, so I don't know. Maybe we can give some of these teams. I mean, all these teams other than Chaminade look to me like tournament teams. So if people were to rank it, you're talking we're 7 out of 8, only above Chaminade. So. It's going to be tough because, you got, 11 non-conference games now. So if we lose 3 there and then to LSU and Oregon, we might have a good strength of schedule. But starting off the season at 6-5 and then going into ACC and just climbing in an uphill battle. So tough to me. It's tough. It's a tough non-conference schedule to me personally. Really, really tough. But
I'm excited about the team, though. I mean, let's be honest. I think that we got a good chance of being put together pretty decently at that point in the year than we were last year.
Oh, yeah, I think
which was a step up from the year before that. So I feel like the trajectory's up. And I guess only time will tell. And I'm not one to set expectations, but that's just my gut. So we'll see. But we do have some summer basketball, and everybody loves a little bit of summer basketball. Boeheim's Army is going to play on Monday, like we mentioned. And this started on the 18th. There's been a bunch of games played already. Heartfire's one that we remember. That team's been around for a while. I love the Nasty Natty. I love that. I love the name of that. And then Aftershocks, obviously. They've been around for a minute, and they've already played 2 games. So this other region coming in a little late. In fact, everybody's played a little bit, except for out of, Syracuse, West Virginia, and Louisville. So anyway, Team Gibson is the where we're going to lead off on, and Taj Gibson, who was USC grad, played for the Bulls, played for Timberwolves and Knicks, ended up at the Washington Wizards. He is their namesake, and they don't really have much of a purpose like some of these teams, or like an affiliation, but I don't know. There's some names you're going to know, and the first one I remember is Elgin Cook. And I got to be honest, man, a lot of these guys you do not remember. Bashir Ahmed from St. John's. And they're not they're not like a huge team, but they got some tall guys though. They got
some 6'9" guys.
Yeah. Kenny Grant and Navarre Elmore. Navarre Elmore sounds familiar too. Livingston College though, but let's see, Livingston College. No. I don't know. So there's both of those guys from Livingston College, by the way. So, and then Jordan Washington from Iona, but this is their first year, so I don't ever think it bodes your first year bodes that well. I feel like that's definitely he definitely started at a disadvantage being a first time team, right? So
yeah.
And with Syracuse, since we've talked, they've added Malachi Richardson, and he's the last addition there. And obviously, we talked about all the others, and you got Chuk, who's a 7-footer down there, and we'll see how he does. And Raheem Christmas, but DeAndre Kane's a big one. We're going to get to see a lot of him. Matt Morgan's another big one. We get to see a lot of him. Rooting for Jimmy Boeheim to do something. Chris McCullough's kind of been just okay. Andrew White's been just okay. And so it's going to be interesting, but I don't think that this Team Gibson's an easy first game for a 2 seed, but we'll see. I mean, the thing about this tournament is that you don't ever know because these teams change so much. It's so hard to gauge, and you can have the names and you can have the players, but how are they going to play together? I mean, if you've got a couple guys on your team that are trying to get back into the NBA or get onto a team overseas or something like that, that's their audition. You're going to have those guys going out and trying to ball out as far as making themselves look good and not so much putting in a team effort. And then now we're playing hero ball, and I mean, who knows, right? So that's the big thing. Until you really start seeing it, Joe, you're not going to know what to expect. And even though we've got a lot of returning players, and we've got some guys that obviously we know from playing with the Orange, it's really hard to determine how they're going to do, because I was super excited about Andrew White a few years ago, and he comes out and is really wasn't that impressive, right? So yeah. It's tough, man. It's tough. You got to really play as a team, and you want to win this thing, or just go far into this thing. You really got to have your stuff together early on. And like we saw last year, returning champions coming in and winning one game and then just fizzling out easily, beat in the second round. It's just in your hometown too, right? It's embarrassing. Yeah. Syracuse has the advantage of being able to start in Syracuse and get those home crowds, and we know what that crowd consists of. That's the you and me's, Joe. That's all our buddies on Twitter, our friends on Twitter out there, and all of the hardcore Syracuse fans are there, and they're the crazies. They are. They're the Dome crazies. And that's the type of crowd you're going to get there. And boy, you better show out, because a one and done or a two and done is a disappointment. Anything than getting out of the Syracuse region is a disappointment.
Yeah, I mean, you can say that, and it is, but at the end of the day, like you said, it's our bracket, right? It's in Syracuse, but we're the 2 seed, right? Blue Collar U, they won it last year, right? And that's in Buffalo.
And they're down the road, right?
And they're down the road, right? So to me, like I said, I'd like to see a good
up the thruway,
good run, right? But if we make it to play against Blue Collar U, win or lose to that point, I think that it's a success, especially considering last year and the turnover and everything like that. we didn't have the same exact team last year, and then the guys that we were counting on, they got injured. But this year there are a couple different players from the other teams that haven't played with us, so you are a little bit nervous about that. Matt Morgan had a great year overseas last year, and he actually just got done playing in the G League, or in the Summer League, so he's fresh off of, trying to get into the league and everything like that. So he's close, and he's trying to use this as a momentum booster to, possibly be able to do something like what a Kiefer Sykes did or something like that, and actually maybe make an NBA roster or maybe get a two-way contract with the G League or NBA. So we definitely have different type of players this year. So I'm hoping that it works out. Team Gibson, like you said, usually it's his first year coming in. Basketball is basketball, right? But when you put together something like an Elam ending, where you take that clock away and now it's just, we just got points. Oh, now we're just playing to it. Then, when you're not used to that, then, that takes a little bit of getting used to. So I think that this team is going to struggle. Again, to your point, I mean, I want to say Antoine Mason, point guard, 6'3", that played Niagara and Auburn. Like, I feel like I've heard his name before. He looks familiar. Like you said, Elgin Cook was a good team on Oregon, or a good player on Oregon. And they also have Devin Funchess on their team, who was actually a wide receiver for Michigan. They got drafted in the NFL, had a little bit of NFL career, and now he's trying to break into professional basketball. So he's 6'4", he's on the team as well, but based upon looking at the winning share, everyone really looks like their share is $60,000, so it looks like they're splitting it pretty much, except for Elgin Cook has $80,000. So that tells me if they win, he gets the most money. To me, they look at him like he's their best player. So unless we really show up and crap the bed, man, like, I don't really know. I really think we got a good shot at getting at least past Team Gibson, getting the second game.
Yeah, and the second game's going to be against the Nerd Team or Happy Valley Hoops. The Nerd Teams, they've been impressive in previous years. And the other one, Happy Valley Hoopers, I've never even heard of. So, I don't know if they are new. Let's see real quick. Happy Valley Hoopers. This website too. I mean, they do have all the team breakdowns, but you've got this Penn State alum. They you can't just click on the teams in the bracket anymore. You actually got to go into the list of teams and to do your due diligence on what game might be coming up next. But they do have it. It is broke. It's just not as easy as it was last year, but it is. They still have all of the information there. So the Nerd Team, obviously, that is the team that they came out of the Syracuse region as the big winners, and last year, and they're okay. They're okay. Their all-time record's 2-2. So.
Now, is the Happy Valley Hoopers, is this their first?
I think it is. The Penn State alum team. I think
it is.
I think it is. Yeah.
I see a couple.
There's a lot. There's a lot of new teams. There's ones you're going to recognize if you're a fan of this tournament, but like Ram Nation, I've never heard of. Red Scares, one we're used to seeing. Shell Shock. I think Show Me Squad. Sideline Cancer's there all the time.
There's been a couple 1 seeds that have already lost. So I'm kind of trying to keep an eye on the other side of it. But yeah, no, looking at the Nerd Team and Happy Valley Hoopers, I don't know who I'd rather see. The Nerd Team's a little bit shorter. Happy Valley Hoopers, they got, seems to me, probably a bigger team, a little more talent. But when it comes down to the Nerd Team, they do have Tucker Richardson from Colgate last year, the guy that beat us up pretty good, their best player. He's on the team along with Prentice Hub.
Oh,
So,
God.
yep, I know, right? So when you look at who you want to deal with, basically, right?
I don't know. You
When you
love
look
to
at it,
you love to hate that guy though. So it's a win. It's all or nothing for me. Like if he's doing good, I'm upset. But if we can shut him down and the old Joe Girard handing him the ball at the end of that one game,
yeah,
you know,
yeah, no. To me, Happy Valley Hoopers looks like the bigger, deeper, probably more talented team, but the nerd team, they got a couple thorns in our side as far as players that have recently been thorns in our side when it comes to Syracuse basketball, and now it's transferring over to the TBT. So,
well, I mean the TBT getting bigger and bigger, and I think eventually they'll just stop throwing this thing on ESPN3, hopefully. That which is the app, and I think that's where we need to watch on Monday, if I'm not mistaken. And have like ESPNU or something. I think this thing's getting big enough now to where you could put it on a better platform. But at the end of the day, I guess ESPN's owning the rights, and they're going to put it where they want it. And if they want to drive people to their app, that's what they're going to do, because that is a subscription. So.
yeah.
So, which is what? I mean, I don't even cancel mine throughout the year because it's like
as far as
it's
what?
like ESPNU, the ESPN app, Watch ESPN, whatever the hell they call it.
ESPN Plus?
Not ESPNU. Yeah, ESPN Plus. That's what, $5 a month or $6 a month or something like that. Never really have too many issues. It's an app that started out like with numerous bugs and issues, and through the past couple of years, it's actually been really decent. We used to complain endlessly about that, and it's actually not that bad anymore. So, anyway, it's getting better. Yeah, but at the end of the day, you're not going to be able to get every Syracuse football game or basketball game unless you live, ironically, in the South and have the local sports package. Because that's how we get them, Joe. And I don't know about you, because you changed your stuff up, but my local sports package includes everything ACC. I've never had trouble getting any of those games. And if I did, they're on ESPN Plus. So, anyway, I digress. But so it'll be interesting. And of course, how does this work out? So, if they do win, they will play on Monday. They will play again on Wednesday. And, maybe Thursday, depending on the situation, we just come back and chit-chat about it. But I'm not making any promises. Right, Joe?
Yeah, I mean, I can, but I don't know how busy you are.
Well, I mean, I don't know. I definitely can't Wednesday, but it doesn't make sense Wednesday anyway, to be honest with you. Or Tuesday, or rather, we would do it on Tuesday. I'd probably wait till after this second game. Well, the first game, by the way, on Monday is at 7, and then the other one, if they make it to Wednesday, that'll be on at 8 Eastern. So we'll try to get back here Thursday, because the next game will be Friday. So, and that would be the game that would possibly be, if we made it there, would possibly be the blue collar U game, you have to assume. But there's some other decent teams that would be, that they get, they don't have it totally easy. But
Virginia Dream in the Commonwealth,
Yeah, the Commonwealth, UMass team, is that what that is? Yeah. And then the Virginia Dreams, obviously some Virginia related garbage. But okay.
Obviously.
Huh?
I said obviously. Yeah, you got it.
Right. I did look at
it's
it too.
Virginia.
Yeah, I did, but there's a couple Virginia teams though, dude. Like there's a couple.
I mean,
there's a couple.
There's
Huh?
Well, there's VCU.
Yeah,
and
there's VCU. Best Virginia is another one. That's the West Virginia stuff, though, I think.
Right, but Virginia is Virginia.
Right. UVA?
That's what they say.
Oh, okay. I was just about to look at it. So,
I don't see anybody. No, it's random. It's random schools in.
Is it?
Yeah, Winston-Salem State, Virginia State, Russell Sage College, Elizabeth State.
This is their second year. They played one game last year and lost.
Okay, yeah.
So, anyway, Virginia Dream. Jalen Robertson.
I don't even know who that is.
You don't know Jalen Robinson from Dalton State? 6'9" power forward? Come on, Joe. Okay.
No, I don't.
I think that's going to be it. So we'll try to get back. We'll see what happens with this thing Monday. We'll see what happens with it Wednesday, if they get to Wednesday. And then maybe we'll see you back here on Thursday. And that's your warning, because if we do come back and do anything, it's all going to be on Twitter Spaces. So we will be there. For Joe and Sean, we're out.
Peace.